Hi, I'm Ron Moorhead, and you're listening to the Paranormal Zone.
Look, I know the supernatural is something that isn't supposed to happen. It does happen.
A ghostly apparition in the dark of night.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria!
Hey there, ponderers of the paranormal. You have found the Paranormal Zone, your place for all things paranormal, unexplained, odd, and mysterious. And we've got a great one lined up for you tonight. We just had the joy of speaking with Bigfoot researchers, adventurers, and investigators, the Midwest's first all-female Bigfoot team, the SHE-SQUATCHERS. Jen Cruz, Jenna Grover, and Tammy Trickle. Time went by way too fast. Please go like and subscribe to the SHE-SQUATCHERS at their Facebook and YouTube accounts, SHE-SQUATCHERS Official. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. Again, we can't thank Jen, Jenna, and Tammy enough. We hope you enjoy our chat. This is only going to be part 1, boys and girls. Trust us on that one. Here we go. Well, hello. Okay, now we have joined. Okay, we got Jenna, we got Jen, we got Tammy, we got everyone on board.
Yep.
Hello to everyone.
Well, it's great to see all of you.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
So, hi, Jen. Jen, how do you... Jen, is it
Cruz?
Cruz. Okay, that's why I thought it was. And...
Yeah.
Go ahead, say my last name.
Oh, gosh. Tammy Trickle?
Yes, good job.
Oh, wow. Very nice. I'm proud of myself. Wow.
I'm proud of you too.
I like doing that with my last name. Some people get it right, and a lot of people don't.
What's your last name?
Carbno.
Cabno?
Carbno. C-A-R-B-N-O.
Carbno. All right then.
Yep, I won't even torture you guys with my last name, but that's okay.
Oh, now we have to hear it. What is it?
It's very German. It's Kaffenberg. So it's Kaffenberg. Yes. Literally translated as to buy a mountain. So, or buy a mountain, I should say. So, yeah.
Fun.
So do you own a mountain?
I maybe in a past life I did. I'm not sure yet. I don't know. I'll have to do some deep diving into that. But hey, thank you, Jen, for communicating with me back and forth and getting this arranged. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thanks for having us on.
And Mike and I we were unfortunately only able to speak with you briefly at Para-Unity. We missed Jenna and we missed Tammy. Were you at Para-Unity, Tammy?
No, I live in Virginia Beach.
Okay.
Oh, that would have been nice.
It is nice.
Yeah. But my name's Patrick. That's Mike. It's good to meet all of you. Thank you so much. The SHE-SQUATCHERS, Midwest's first all-female Bigfoot team. I still have your cards. I have your bands from Para-Unity. We have all kinds of Bigfoot paraphernalia. Mike usually is wearing his squatching shirt.
I have this, and he's usually wearing your band as a headband.
There you go.
He's not right now, but yes. So he's well attired. So are all of you from Fargo?
I live in Moorhead, Minnesota, and Jenna's in Fargo, which we're sister cities, of course.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. And
I used to live in Minnesota.
Oh, nice.
I love Minnesota. Lived there for a while. Patrick's from Minnesota, and my hometown is Fargo. I grew up in Fargo, and I couldn't live there again. It got too big and crazy for me. But it is still my hometown and always will be, and I'll always love it. That's for sure.
Good deal. It has gotten big over the years.
Fargo has grown incredibly.
I remember in the late 60s and through the 70s where it was quiet, the traffic was no problem.
Mm-hmm.
But
oh yeah, Mike's the old man in this whole group, right, Mike? That's what you like to try to proclaim yourself as. He's the old wise man. So listen to what he has to say.
I don't know.
Perfect. I love old wise men. So you're good, Mike.
There you go.
Very good. I'll take that.
All right.
So can I ask a lame question right off the bat? Who came up with the name SHE-SQUATCHERS?
Well, it was actually Lauren Coleman was the inspiration for that, because I was interviewing him for a radio show that I used to have, a paranormal radio show, and I didn't know anything about Bigfoot, and he was enlightening me on that. And he called female Bigfoots she-squatches.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it was his idea to send women into the woods without men, dogs, or guns. And he thought that would be the recipe for success in interacting and getting closer to Bigfoot. He thought Bigfoots would naturally be more comfortable and curious about some ladies in the woods if they didn't have anything threatening with them, like men, dogs, or guns. And so when he said he called female Bigfoots she-squatches, it just made sense to become the she-squatchers.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's natural.
That's perfect. I was reading something, gosh, it might have been just the other day, some quotes from Lauren Coleman. He's hopefully one of our future guests as well. We totally admire Lauren so much. Very wise man. Speaking of wise men right there. And what I was reading was interesting because he was stating how, and he wasn't stating it flippantly. He was very sincere about it. But he was talking about, we really need to take a serious dive into the sex life of Bigfoot. And he was commenting, he's like, they don't talk about this enough, but obviously they reproduce. They're a physical being. This is something that we need to take seriously. Is that something, I'm assuming you guys are kind of along those lines as well, that you are open to any discussion when it comes to Sasquatch or Bigfoot?
Absolutely. I actually, we usually are speaking at Bigfoot conferences and things like that, but this year I actually attended one and didn't have a booth, didn't speak, just sat there and listened to everything that was said. And it was interesting because I was listening to, I think it was, I'm trying to remember because their presentations were kind of similar. It was between Cliff Brockman and Dr. Jeff Meldrum. They were talking about the bendiness of the foot and the anatomy of the Bigfoot foot. But then one of them went on to talk about the anatomy and the sex life of Bigfoot. And they were making inferences or intelligent guesses, so to speak, about what that might be like based upon their similarities to the great apes, to other great apes out there. And so like chimpanzees have huge genitalia. Okay. And they just go at it like crazy.
Right.
And where gorillas aren't very well endowed and they have like harems.
Yep. Right.
And they fight for dominance with their big toughness, their big muscular toughness.
Yep.
And the inference was made there that Bigfoot physically looks more like gorilla than chimpanzee. So trying to make that intelligent guess that maybe it's more like that
Very
they
true.
use their big bulkiness and their manly, I'm the big tough guy, so therefore I'm the best mate here,
Right.
to get the women in their group. So, we don't know anything for sure. We can only make intelligent guesses and until we have some really up close and personal studies on it. What are your thoughts on that?
Mike, do you want to take that? No, I think that I am open for anything. I think it's a fascinating, it's a fascinating aspect that isn't normally brought to the forefront. And so I think it needs to be talked about in a serious manner. And I'm really happy that you, I guess I don't want to. You're just honest with your reply to me right now. You took me seriously because I wasn't joking when I threw that out there. And so anything that Lauren Coleman says, I'm like, yep, we're gonna go with Lauren. So he was sitting right next to you guys at Para-Unity, wasn't he? I believe Lauren had his booth.
Yes, we love hanging out with Lauren. He's so fun,
Yes.
and he invited us out to dinner both nights, so we had him all to ourselves and had some really good Indian food and
Very
Some great conversation, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, he's awesome. I could listen to him for hours. He has so many good things to share and just a wealth of knowledge and information, and I could just soak it up like a sponge. I'm telling you.
Oh, same here. Same here. So how long have you all been together as a trio? And when you go back and think about your first investigations, your first dives into research to all things Sasquatch and Bigfoot. When did this all really gel for you guys? And was it something that had been kind of simmering for a while, or was it kind of more of a spur of the moment type decision?
Truly, it was all Lauren Coleman. I interviewed him for my radio show. He made the suggestion that women should do this. I said, okay, I'm going to get some ladies together and go out and do this. I did not believe in Bigfoot at all. I didn't. And so really, I just grabbed some ladies that I knew that were paranormal investigators that had some night vision cameras. I thought that would do good for what we might need outside in the dark. But that actually didn't work out very well at all, because ghost hunting cameras do really well inside haunted houses, but they don't light up the forest very well. But we live and learn. Plus, Bigfooting is not for everybody. And when something happens in the dark, most of the women get scared and they don't want to do this anymore. And that's what happened my first time out. And I was embarrassed to tell my close friends that I was going to look for Bigfoot at first. And then after I had an experience, and all these other ladies, well, the majority of them were too scared to get back out of the car, to be perfectly honest with you. I went home and I told Jena what happened, and she was upset with me that I hadn't taken her with me and that I hadn't told her anything about it. And so then she hooked up with me, and then I invited Tammy as well, but it didn't work out right away for Tammy to join with us for right away. But then I had worked with Tammy on other projects before, but never anything Bigfoot. So finally Tammy was able to join in, and then it's been the three of us ever since. And we've got a really good triangle here. We work well together, and these girls are not scared. Even when I think they should maybe get scared, they don't get scared.
Is that true, Jennifer and Tammy? Are you guys, you have thick skins, you just do not get scared?
I think we all just put one foot in front of the other, and we take a breath and we move forward and we do what we need to do. And if it's something that's going to be a bad situation, we're not going to do it. You know what I mean?
Sure. Absolutely. So Jen mentioned that you were both paranormal investigators. What are your thoughts on the alleged ties? Some theorists think, or there are theories out there, floating around out there, that Bigfoot does have a tie to the paranormal. I mean, anything from people claiming that they see orbs of light floating in the woods before they come across a Bigfoot sighting, UFO-related stories with involving Bigfoot. Where do you guys sit along those lines when it comes to their possible relationship between Bigfoot and the paranormal?
We all have different ideas about that.
Sure.
And so, but what's really cool about us is that we accept that each other has a different idea and belief system on that. And we are all open to whatever it is that we find that to be the truth.
Sure.
So I think that's really healthy for us, because a lot of people, if they think that they know what it is already, they're not really open to being something else. Even when they see, like, there's a lot of Bigfooters out there that are like, no, there's nothing to do with lights, and then they see the lights and they don't want to talk about it to anybody because now they've seen the lights.
Yeah.
But they've already said that that's not real. So so I think it's good that we're open and we accept each other's ideas and beliefs, and we just go at it from all different angles. I'm part Native American, so I have talked to the Native elders from my tribe and other reservations as well. And I'm really enjoy those stories, the traditional stories. And a lot of the stuff would be metaphysical or paranormal in nature, would be classified as. And I take all of those stories to heart and hold it very sacredly. But my rational part of my mind needs to see proof of that. I believe it as much as I can, and I hold it sacred as information for my tribe. But the rational part of my brain that's still there needs to see evidence of it for myself. And then I go, oh, okay. And we have seen some things that make me go, that just seems to really fit now, doesn't it? Yeah. That this happened. So, Tammy goes all the way. Tammy, you want to tell them what you think?
Yes, Tammy, let's hear from you.
Okay. Yeah, I always have to preface everything that I say that my views are my own and I do not represent the team. So
perfect.
I personally believe that they're an interdimensional being, and I think that There are many realms in existence, and I think that in each realm that they are in, that is the form that they take. So ours is a physical realm. So I feel that when they're here, they are physical. And I do believe that they can travel interdimensionally. And I think there's a lot of information that leans towards there being a tie with them and UFOs. I'm open to that idea. I haven't, completely accepted that, yes, that's the way it is, but I'm open to the idea. But I definitely feel that there is a lot more out there than we're aware of. And just from all of the information that I have gathered personally, I think they're interdimensional.
Fascinating. I love that. That's awesome that you brought that up, because my very professional notes that I wrote down here, a lot of these bullet points I wrote down, I have
Nobody
underlined.
else can read them but him. It's just scratching.
Hey, come on. I write a little bit better than that, Mike. But I have underlined here, your thoughts on Bigfoot being an interdimensional being, because that's something that Mike and I have talked about several times, and we have our own thoughts. Mike, would you care to share your thoughts?
That deep conversation we had just the other day with Ron Moorhead, and he believes in a lot of that very spiritual aspect of everything, the interdimensional. And I don't know, you just need to look at everything. And I think it's more than just a physical creature that is just roaming the woods. Sure. There's more to it than that. And I think there is a paranormal aspect to it. I really do.
What do you think, Jenna?
Sorry, I was on mute. I actually, when it comes to Bigfoot, I am just flesh and blood. I believe this being is very similar to humans in the fact that they are in groups, that they can communicate with one another, that they're emotionally, doing things, emotionally reacting to situations. But until I see, I want to believe that they are, what do you call it? My brain just went blank.
Interdimensional.
Interdimensional. I couldn't think of that word earlier today either. No, but I would love to think that they are interdimensional. Mm-hmm. But until more information is gotten, I really can't say. But I'm flesh and blood.
Yeah, no, that's totally understandable. It's definitely an out there idea, but as Tammy said, it's something that we're all open minded to the possibility. I think that's something that we can all agree on, and that's what we're all searching for, isn't it? So, and we're keeping our eyes out, our ears out, our extrasensory perception out as well.
Definitely.
Now, I wish we had so much more time. I have so much stuff we want to dive into here, so I'm trying to look for the good questions.
Well, get to him then. I haven't heard one yet.
Oh, thanks, Mike. See, that's Mr. Mike. That's Mike. Just loves his humor.
Yeah, I'm the funny one on the show. I try to be, and I don't always get there. But
that was pretty funny that he said that he thinks that he's funny. Yeah. By the way,
hey, you guys are good. You're funny. I like it.
Thank you very much. When it comes to your investigations, I should say. This will be kind of a long question. Where have your investigation? Where have they taken you? Where have your travels taken you when it comes to investigating? I know you're listed as, Midwest's first all-female Bigfoot team. Any particular crazy locations that you investigated? Any particular investigation techniques or equipment that you prefer? I'll go with you, Jen. Is there any equipment that you prefer to use or you find is more productive when it comes to researching and investigating Sasquatch?
We have a unique approach for looking for Bigfoot. And I think that's unique from anybody else out there. I haven't heard of other people specifically using remote viewing to locate Bigfoot. And that's what we do. We call it geographic remote viewing because it's different from controlled remote viewing, where we're actually looking at satellite imagery, areas from the air, photos of areas taken from the air like Google Maps or Google Earth, and literally scanning the area looking for and asking questions, is Bigfoot here? And if there is, what I see on the picture will change. and it'll either show me a Bigfoot face or a Bigfoot standing there. And literally, I can sometimes see the face, the expression on their face, and even tell you what their disposition is. That a mean one? Is it an old one? Is it a young one? Is it a female? And kind of gives me an idea. Do I want to get close to that one or not?
Sure.
Also, I ask questions like, is there any Bigfoot evidence here that we can collect? And in response to that, I get whole areas will light up a golden color, indicating that there is something there to find. And when we have gone to those locations, and this is how we select where we're going.
Nice.
So it's not like we're just hiking through an area because it looks like it might be interesting or there might be something there. We're literally seeing something on the remote view first, dropping a GPS coordinate there, and then getting there. And we like to find spots that have an area where you can park fairly close by so that when we jump out of the car and go directly towards it, it's kind of like, surprise, we're here.
There you go.
And we've done this on several occasions. We found a really cool den-like structure that was absolutely huge in Minnesota on my reservation. And literally, I wasn't sure if we could drive on this trail or not. I could see that there was a trail, but I wasn't sure if it was drivable because it wasn't listed as a road or even a minimum maintenance road. It was a handmade little trail that somebody on the reservation made to go back and collect down wood for firewood. So when we drove on it, it literally scratched up my car really bad. But we were able to park 75 feet away from the structure that I was seeing on the remote view lighting up as the golden light. There is something here that we can find. And it was right there where I said it was. Jena, that was the first time I had done that with Jena, and I could tell when we got there, she didn't really believe in this because she wasn't really gung-ho to jump out of the car and start running like I was.
Well, no, but you have to understand. I mean, I believe in Jen. I did not really understand remote viewing, so I really didn't believe in it. And after being shocked that it actually worked, well, I'll let you talk about it, but my gosh, it's amazing. It brought us right to, well, go ahead, Jen.
Wow.
It was a huge structure, and it was unlike anything that I showed it to Bobo from Finding Bigfoot, and he said that he'd never seen anything like that before. And he said if his show hadn't just been canceled, he would have been on the phone calling them, the whole team, to get up there and look at it because he'd never seen anything like that before.
My goodness.
Now, I think that perhaps they make different kinds of structures up there in northern Minnesota different than what they maybe make in the south because we have such harsh weather. And they have to have different kinds of structures here to survive if they're not going to use fire. So I think that they're making more intricate structures for housing for themselves and for hiding themselves. I also, people suggested that maybe it was some type of a hunting shelter or a blind, and I asked even the tribal elders about that, but even though I knew the answer was no, it couldn't be that, because on that particular reservation there is no deer hunting season. It is every day is deer hunting season.
Really?
And they hunt from moving vehicles. And so this was within sight of a drivable trail. And so how they do it is a guy's driving the truck and one or two guys are standing in the back of the truck with guns aimed out. So if you're within eyesight of something drivable, you can get shot.
Right.
And so we wear bright colors and, we're making sure that we're seeing nothing there. Nobody would have built any kind of a blind or a hunting shelter. They just don't do that up there.
That's crazy.
And even though, when I took the girls up there and I told them that this is the way that people hunt up here, it was still quite shocking to them when they saw people drive by like that. They're like, oh my God, there's guys with guns in the back of it. I'm like, They're not looking for us. They're just looking for deer. So, but it can be quite shocking for them, but it's just regular life up there. So even the elders said, that they believe the Bigfoot made this kind of structure, and there were other ones being found out there. The one that we found didn't have a den inside of it. Like when I say den, there was one nearby that was found by a local that had a den dug down into the ground, like a cave / tunnel area dug inside. The entrance was inside of a den-like structure like that. So, I mean, I think that they're making these because of the severe weather.
That would make perfect sense. That's a great idea. Great thoughts. Do all three of you have any opinions on so-called maybe hotspots of Bigfoot activity and Bigfoot's where Bigfoot may be more prone to inhabit or exist? Is there any locations in the United States that you think are like I said, hotspots for Bigfoot sightings, Bigfoot activity, and perhaps why is it purely based on environmental reasons? I'll go with.
Anybody else wanna take that
I'll
one?
throw that to Tammy. What do you think, Tammy?
Well, I think that in order for there to be an existence of Bigfoot hanging around in an area for a long period of time, there has to be a food source, a water source, and shelter.
Right.
So that to me right away says it's going to be in a forest, in the woods, maybe down south in the swamps, but they have to have a place to hide, they have to have food, and they have to have water. That being said, I think that the most reports have been out of Washington State, Oregon, and Michigan, especially the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. In the past 20 years or so, there has been a lot more reports than there was before. But I think that they're everywhere. They can exist. I think they exist in every state and even other countries.
Right. You know, and that's. I'm happy you brought that up because. And Mike, I'll let you speak. Okay, trust me, I'll let you speak.
Oh, hey, I'm following along. I'll
Okay.
chime in when
You'll chime in when you
find a
feel
spot.
it. When it comes to, you mentioned other countries. You know, when one who follows this subject would immediately think of something like the Yeti or the abominable snowman, however you want to refer to it, Yowie. And within the United States here, there's so many different names and so many different versions. Do you think that we're all talking about the same creature here, or are there different offshoots of the species of Sasquatch? What do you think about that, Jennifer or Jenna? I'll ask you.
Personally, I think it's basically a one species.
Okay.
Give me the question again so I make sure I answer it correctly.
Yeah, as far as you hear all these different names worldwide and across the United States, all these different names, Yowie, Yeti, even the smaller one, orang pendek, and we have Sasquatch, we have Bigfoot, we have the skunk ape. Do you think that we're all basically, these are all just different names of the same being?
I don't think so. I think a lot of it is related to where they are, the area they are in, the weather, the terrain, things like that. Where, in the different countries, we can't assume that everyone is the same.
They could be like cousins or something like that, or
there you go. Yeah.
Different. Just yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I do believe. Oh, go ahead, Jen.
I do think that they could be the same species, but that they've adapted to their environment quite differently. And like the skunk ape, seems to be more aggressive than the Bigfoots that we're finding up in Minnesota. So they do seem like they're quite different, even in stature and their aggressiveness and the way that they live. So I think that they're related, but I think that they've been distanced for quite some time.
Now elaborate a little bit on that for as far as like Sasquatch in Minnesota and how they differ in stature and their level of aggressiveness. However you want to put that. Elaborate a little bit on that.
Okay, so like in Minnesota, they seem to be much larger than like the skunk ape, so to speak.
Okay.
And there's all these stories from the tribes about trading with them, trading goods with them, that they seem more like a people than an animal, and they just seem more like a people, like a wild man people, but intelligent. Mm-hmm. And the my tribe talks about actually trading goods with them. They're putting out goods in a basket and leaving it in a place for them, and then coming back and the basket is filled with something else that they're giving back. So they literally had been trading with them. There's some tribes even in Washington State, like the Yakima Reservation, where they did have, in the mid 1800s, they had settlements of native people that lived with Bigfoot in their community, and they could speak the same language. So I think that they're more like a people up here. And I haven't really looked a lot into the skunk ape, to be honest with you, because I'm really kind of scared of crocodiles and things like
sure.
that. So
I don't blame
that you might encounter down in Florida. So I don't really feel excited about going to look for the skunk ape, but when I am in my native Minnesota and I'm on my reservation or another Ojibwe reservation, I feel like there's a safety factor there for me because I can speak some Ojibwe language. And when I do that, my teaching is that they can understand you and they respect you when you introduce yourself. And my experience with that was my very first time of having an encounter. When we were getting surrounded, we could hear them coming.
Oh my.
And we were scared. And one of the girls said, Jen, do your tobacco thing. And we were actually on an Ojibwe reservation. And so I took my tobacco out into my hand and I started to pray in the Ojibwe language out loud. And I did a very formal introduction of myself, my clan, where I come from. And then I started to thank the little people of the forest. And as soon as I said Miigwech Kichisabe, which is thank you to Bigfoot, everything stopped. The movement stopped. There was no retreat. Everything just stopped. Like they understood. And I was excited. I'm like, oh, they responded to that. And I was extremely excited. And all the other girls that were there were scared to death. Well, of course, they didn't know what I was saying in the Ojibwe language. They didn't know that it stopped in reaction to me thanking it. And they were just ready to go.
Wow.
Let's get out of here. But
That's
for
amazing.
me, that was confirming what the Native elders had told me from 2 different reservations up here, one in North Dakota and one from Minnesota, both Ojibwe reservations. Elders had told me that you can pray to Bigfoot for help and they will help you. And so when I go into these areas and I feel like I have that in my toolbox of being able to communicate with them and ask for help. So
wow, that's amazing. I'm impressed. That was a fantastic story, and I unfortunately got the dreaded warning that we have 10 minutes to go. It's like, gosh, darn it, we have so much to talk about here. Mike, while I'm looking through my notes, what do you have to say? Speak up, my friend. You're sitting there in silent mode. Talk.
Oh, I think it's all exciting, and I know that Patrick and I have talked before about just finding a place and just kind of wandering around out in the woods. He's got a brother that lives up in Babbitt, and
Babbitt,
very
Minnesota, yeah.
remote area. And I think there's stories there that were of sightings. I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that you and I'm talking to all 3 of you right now. That is something that you probably do not recommend for the average Joe to just wander out in the woods and in hope of finding Bigfoot. I mean,
well, we would plan.
well, even if we had a little bit of a plan, I guess I don't want to ask you, if you had any advice to give to someone who is interested in this field and interested in becoming an investigator. How would you set them on their way to take that first step to becoming an investigator? I'll fire it off to Tammy. Yes.
Yeah, I would say definitely don't go out by yourself, first of all.
Right.
Make sure people know where you are in case you don't come back.
Right.
So, and if you don't have to, if you're just getting started, you don't have to have thousands and thousands of dollars of equipment. Bring your cell phone, bring a flashlight. Your cell phone's got a camera on it, and especially the iPhones nowadays, the cameras are great. And you don't have to go at night. You can go during the day. They're not just nocturnal animals. There's been sightings during the day as well. So be safe. Don't go out and put yourselves in harm's way. Don't be aggressive and don't try to antagonize them, or you're going to get an angry response. So, what kind of experience are you looking for? Are you just wanting to see something? Are you wanting to find tracks? Be careful what you go looking for, because if you stir something up, you might get what you're looking for, and you might not be ready to handle it. Nobody knows how they're going to react when you see something huge, that's an animal or not an animal coming at you, or even just seeing it. You don't know what you're going to do. It's a flight or fight response, and I don't think you want to fight them. So
no.
Well, and I do want to add too that researching the area, the terrain, the animals around the area that you're going to be in, make sure you look at all that, because there could be and like the hunting. Check out what hunting season it is, because you may be in trouble. Wear those bright clothes, like Tammy said. There's so many different things that we could say, but I don't think we could do it in such a short time.
No, I understand. I know. I get you. Yeah. I'm glad, Tammy, that you mentioned that about, you don't know how you're going to react. I mean, you could be out in the woods and like a white-tailed deer is a peaceful, essentially harmless creature. But if you see a large one kind of running towards you, you're probably going to go, wah! You're going to react a little bit startled. Who knows what else you're going to do? Imagine if it's an 8-foot tall Sasquatch who's just simply taking a step towards you, not going to harm you, but wow. I mean, so that was a great point, Tammy. You just don't
Most
know
people would
how you're gonna
probably
react.
soil themselves and pass out.
Yeah, right. And not necessarily in that
Not
order.
my girls. Not my
No,
girls.
No, we get the video footage.
Yeah, right.
We actually used remote viewing in Tennessee, and we drove up to a spot where we were seeing Bigfoot on a mountain, and we parked nearby the spot where we had seen it, and I pulled out my phone, and I actually still had service there, so I was able to ask in the moment if there was any Bigfoot here right now. And it was really dark out, we couldn't see anything, and on the remote view I saw one, and I said, it's about 30 feet from the car that way. Tammy grabbed the FLIR camera, the night vision thermal camera, and she pointed it that way, and sure enough it was there. And Tammy should tell that story because she did not freak out.
I did not freak out. No, it was like she was saying, it was so dark up there. There's no lights up there at all. It's the top of a mountain, and you couldn't see anything with your eye. But when I used the FLIR, I looked over, and about 30 feet away, there was one by a tree, and he was, to me, it looked like he was sitting. There's some speculation whether he was sitting or if he was standing behind a rock ledge using it as a table. But I'm sitting here, I'm trying to get this to record. It's the first time I ever used the FLIR. So, so I'm sitting here hitting the buttons, and I'm changing, the colors on it, but it's not recording. And I'm like, okay, guys, how do I record? And they're, still getting their stuff out. And I'm sitting here watching him. He lifts his arm up, and you can see all this hair hanging down.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I need to get this. How do I record? And finally I got Jena over there, and she pushed the record button, and he let me record him for 13 minutes. He didn't run away.
Wow.
We didn't try to get any closer. We respected the distance, but he didn't run away. He just let us sit there and record. And he was working with his hands, and looked like he was skinning an animal to me, because whatever he had in his hands was warm.
Okay.
So, and it had fur. So I'm assuming that he was probably skinning an animal, but he just let me sit there and record him. And we were actually the ones who turned off the video and stopped recording before he ever disappeared.
Wow.
He was not worried about us at all. And we were not quiet. We weren't quiet. I'm like, hey guys, and we're all blah, 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 blah. He knew that we were there. We knew that he was there, and he let us record him. It was an amazing experience.
That is amazing. Unforgettable.
Their video of that is on our YouTube channel at SHE-SQUATCHERS Official, so everybody can go check it out if they would like. And please subscribe to our channel.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Facebook.com, SHE-SQUATCHERS. Run. What was the name of the YouTube channel again, Jen?
SHE-SQUATCHERS Official.
SHE-SQUATCHERS Official. Gosh, I wish we had more time. That your story, Tammy, kind of reminded me in a humorous way of, Mike and I were very amateur paranormal investigators back in the day, and we're kind of getting back into it again now. And years ago, we had an experience where we were setting up the camera in a place that we were investigating, and right before us, a very large, bright orb slowly formed and flew towards the camera and flew away. And it wasn't a piece of dust. It wasn't a bug or anything like that. And we're looking at it through the lens of the camera, and we're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that was very cool. It was very awesome. Are we recording right now? I looked down. Nope. Did not have the record button on at that moment, and of course, it never appeared again. So, we totally understand the situations.
We have caught some pretty amazing things on tape or whatever, but
audio, yeah.
But what usually has happened to a lot of those, Patrick?
Mike
he loves
deleted
to slam
them.
Me. Yeah, I have a bad habit of somehow losing everything.
It was hilarious.
So turns out to be just a personal experience that
but
no documentation.
That we'll never forget. Mike had one. I'll say it as fast as I can. Mike has lived a very paranormal life, and one of by that I mean that he has had occurrences throughout his lifetime since he was a little kid. And one of his houses he lived in was very active, very haunted, so to speak.
Extremely active.
We used to do a lot of EVP recordings there, and he did some on his own. And at one point, he had a digital recorder going on the steps that went down into the basement while he was sleeping. He and his then wife were asleep. It was the middle of the night. A lot of activity in this area, and lo and behold, on that recorder, you could hear running up and down those steps, little footprints coming closer to the recorder and then descending away from the recorder, then coming back up to the recorder, then running away from the recorder. It was the most amazing thing I had ever heard, and he deleted it. So it's
Didn't mean to. Totally by accident.
It happens.
It
It happens so much more than you'll ever know.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, to wrap it up, I can't thank you all. This has been a blast. We need to get together again and talk. We barely scratched the surface here. This went by way too fast. Yes, that indeed did go by way too fast. Unfortunately, our Zoom meeting decided to crash on us as well, bringing our awesome chat with the SHE-SQUATCHERS to an abrupt halt. But have no fear, there shall be a part 2, as jokingly exchanging messages with Jen after the show. She said, well, that'll just have to be a cliffhanger for the next time. And I agree. Mike and I both agree. We cannot thank Jena, Jen, and Tammy for joining us tonight. We hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, boys and girls, peace out.